because it means it gets to stay in standard. Lightning Strike. 1 colourless, 1 red. Instant Lightning Strike deals 3 damage to target creature or player. Perfect red card. 2 mana for 3 damage that you can target creature or player. Really efficient. And it's nice. And I like the fact that it's been printed into M15 because it means it will survive the cycling out of Theros when it eventually happens. Although M16 will be in then. Either way, I like Lightning Strike. Great card. Very strong in constructed and limited. Brilliant removal in red.
So versatile at instant speed as well. You can use it to do so many different things. Drop something out of the sky that you need to get rid of. Do that killing blow of a big fatty, or just whittle your opponent down by another 3 life.
Yeah, great spin
card for a 2 drop. You can splash into that. It's not like it's a double red. It's lovely. Right, next up we've got Might Makes Right. This is a 6-drop red enchantment. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control each creature on the battlefield with the greatest power, gain control of target creature an opponent controls until end of turn. Untap that creature, it gains haste until end of turn. So, how this works is if you're packing the fatties and your opponent's all got little creatures, you get to then steal one of the little creatures, saves getting a blocker. Interesting card. I think you're going to need it. It's enchantment, so it stays in play. That's the main thing. I think you'd really need to be sure that you're playing it at the right time, though.
Yeah.
Because I suppose it doesn't have any effect if it works the other way. So there's no negativity to it.
True. Its mana cost is pretty hefty, considering that you're going to be taking a creature that's definitely smaller than all of yours.
Yeah. It could be an interesting card to play. The wording's very complicated as well. At the beginning of combat on your turn, so that's fine. If you control each creature on the battlefield with the greatest power.
So all of your creatures have to be the biggest out of all the other creatures.
Yeah.
Could be a fun card to play in Commander, if you're making a silly deck based around that.
Definitely. But we'll see how it plays out on the day, and we'll get a feel for it and then be able to kind of talk about it later.
Yeah. So, next up we have Miner's Bane. 4 colourless red. Creature elemental 6/3. 2 colourless 1 red. Miner's Bane gets +1/+0 and gains trample until end of turn. So 6 mana for a 6/3. Annoyingly, its toughness is really low, but red creatures usually have that problem. Still has high power, and for 3 mana you can get +1/+0 and trample, so you can make it a 7/3 with trample the next turn. Although, since you will have had 6 mana to play it, you can do it twice to make it an 8/3.
Yeah, which
not bad.
Could be a game winner with the trample.
Yeah. Not bad in limited for sure.
No, it's definitely, when it attacks, it's going to do damage over the top, really. Because you're not going to attack as a 6/3.
Yeah.
Could be a useful blocker, just psychologically wise. Your opponent knows he's going to lose a fatty if he attacks. He might take yours out, but he knows he's going to have to pay for it somehow. So it could be an interesting card to play. I don't think it will get much play outside of limited though.
No.
Okay, next up we've got the red Paragon. This is the Paragon of Fierce Defiance. This is a 4-drop, which is 3 colourless, 1 red. Creature human warrior for 2/2. Other red creatures you control get +1/+1, so you're buffing lots of other little things around there, including all your goblins and your dragons. And it also has the ability of pay 1 red, tap it, another target red creature you control gains haste until end of turn. Could be quite handy.
Yeah. It's a nice ability. The only drawback is that haste is only useful on 1 turn for a creature that you've played that turn. It doesn't have a lot of staying use, whereas say Death Touch, Vigilance, things like you can cast the same creature repeatedly. But it's in keeping with red, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah. If you are a red player and you know how to turn the haste really to your advantage, then it could be a very useful card. To be perfectly honest, from my opinion, I think it's one of the lower Paragon
I think
cards out of the set, but it's definitely in the theme of red.
Yeah. So next up we have Rummaging Goblin. 2 colourless, 1 red for a Goblin Rogue, 1/1. Tap, discard a card, draw a card. Nice to be able to draw a card in red. It's got discard a card at the start, so obviously if you've got an empty hand you can't do the ability. And 3 mana for a 1/1 is quite steep. But it does allow you to draw cards in red, which is nice.
The big distinction between this and what you normally have with draw and discard is you can draw first and then make a choice.
Yeah.
This one is you've got to discard that card and hope what you draw is better than the one
definitely.
you just discarded. So
well said.
it takes a lot of guts to play Rummaging Goblin. But if you're buffing goblins, then maybe it could be quite useful for you.
Yeah.
So next up is Scrapyard Mongrel, which is a 4-drop, 3 colourless, 1 red. It's a hound with 3/3. As long as you control an artifact, Scrapyard Mongrel gets +2/+0 and has trample. So we're paying 4 mana for what's basically going to be a 5/3 with trample. I like those odds. You're not going to play this in a deck unless you're playing heavy artifacts, because as it is, a 4 for a 3/3 is okay, but you're going to want his special ability triggering off.
Yeah, you're going to want the +2, aren't you?
Yeah.
And the trample for sure.
And then if you're having an artifact, maybe you're putting an artifact onto this mongrel, so you're buffing it even more.
Yeah.
It's a very useful card within red. I think it will probably see a lot of play in limited. Don't know about standard. I think it might have its place in standard though. With an artifact deck, red artifacts could be quite good.
So next up we have Seismic Strike. 2 colourless, 1 red instant. Seismic Strike deals damage to target creature equal to number of mountains you control. Fun.
Yeah.
Good spell. If you're playing mono red, it's likely to be at the very least 3 mana for 3 damage, which is pretty good, and it only gets better as the game goes on.
Definitely. Yeah, useful instant direct damage. It's what you want out of your red decks, really.
Yeah.
Next up we have Shivan Dragon, which is a 6 double red drop dragon for 5/5 with flying. That's really good anyway, and then you've got a buff which is pay 1 red. Shivan Dragon is +1/+0 until end of turn. That's amazing, and that could be a killing card.
Yeah.
Really. Second turn it comes out. I mean, first turn if you're giving creatures haste, you're flying over for 5 damage. Second turn you could then pay 6 mana, give it 11. You've just done 16 damage in 2 turns.
Yeah, it's a nice creature, and it's part of the cycle we were talking about before. It's rare cards that are from Magic's past. Shivan Dragon's been in Magic for years again. Kind of nice to see it back for limited. So next up we have Shrapnel Blast. 1 colourless, 1 red instant. As an additional cost to cast Shrapnel Blast, sacrifice an artifact. Shrapnel Blast deals 5 damage to target creature or player. Well, 2 mana for 5 damage is really good. Really good. And you've got to sacrifice an artifact, which is a bit of a shame, but if you've got any artifacts that have when it is destroyed or when it goes to the graveyard an effect happens, pretty brilliant. Or if you've just got a low mana cost artifact that you don't really need anymore.
Or, final game, if that's going to give you your win, it's at instant speed, you don't need those artifacts. If you win, after that, you can sack out the most amazing artifact that's ever existed. It could be a Black Lotus. If you're going to get a win off of playing this card, sack it. What difference does it make? The card's not going to stay around after the game's over.
Definitely. Good point.
Next up is Siege Dragon, which is a 7-drop for a 5/5 dragon with flying. I think those odds are okay. It's a double red, but yeah, I'd be quite happy to pay 7 for a 5/5 with flying. But when Siege Dragon enters the battlefield, destroy all walls your opponents control. That's really useful. And whenever Siege Dragon attacks, if defending player controls no walls, it deals 2 damage to each creature without flying that player controls. So that's just amazing.
Yeah.
You've got rid of the walls when it first comes out, then you fly it in with haste, you're then doing 2 damage to everything else, you've got flying, it goes over the top. And it's a dragon. I think there's going to be one interesting dragon deck coming out of M15. I don't know if we had many dragons in the Theros set.
I'd have to go back and check. There's 1 or 2.
Yeah.
There's 1 or 2 that are pretty good.
So you've got enough to play with in standard. I think a red deck dragon feel could be quite an interesting one.
So next up we have the next member of the mythic rare Soul cycle. Soul of Chandalar. 4 colourless red. Avatar 6/6, first strike. 3 red red. Soul of Chandelier deals 3 damage to target player and 3 damage to up to 1 target creature that player controls. 3 red red. Exile Soul of Chandelier from your graveyard. Soul of Chandelier deals 3 damage to target player and 3 damage to up to 1 target creature that player controls. Pretty cool. 6 mana for 6 first strike. Like the other souls, already pretty beastly card.
Yeah.
And then this guy's ability for 5 mana deals 3 damage to a player and 3 damage to one of his creatures. That's nice. I like that. 5 isn't too high, especially if you had to have 6 to play it in the first place.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like 5 mana for 6 damage, kind of.
Yeah. No, I think these souls have been pretty much on par, really. Just as themselves, the mana cost to what you get.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get a soul, and then that is going to decide what colour you're playing. If you're lucky enough to draw one of these mythic cards, then you're going to be playing whatever colour that runs into, I think.
Yeah.
Alright, on to the next page of reds. And we have Stoke the Flames, which is a 4-drop double red instant. Has Convoke, which is the ability to tap creatures for mana. And Stoke the Flames deals 4 damage to target creature or player. That's really useful. It can cost you 4 mana, or it can cost cheaper depending on how many creatures you've got in play. You could do it at the end of your turn, you could do it with blocked creatures that are blocking. Has a lot of give there. I think it's a very strong uncommon card.
Yeah, pretty nice. Yeah, I think that's quite good actually. I agree with you. It's good. So next up, Thundering Giant. 3 colourless red red. Creature giant 4/3 with haste. So 5 mana for 4/3 is okay. And haste means it can be quite a tricksy little combat thing. Your opponent might not necessarily be ready for a 4/3 to suddenly hit them in the face.
Yeah. I think you'd need buffing. I don't know. I probably wouldn't. It wouldn't be my first pick, but if I needed something in that kind of range
Yeah.
of mid-level creatures, then
Yeah.
I would consider putting in one. Oh, next up we have the Torch Fiend, which is a very good reprint. This is a 2-drop for a 2/1, and you can sack it and destroy target artifact. Really useful. Alright, it's only a 2/1, but you can send it into block and then sack it after that, paying the 1 mounting cost for that, and you can destroy the target artifact. So removal in red, very useful.
I agree. Nice little spell. 2 mana for a 2/1, like you say. Your 2/1 takes out their 2/2s just as handy as if it was a 2/2 in the first place. Yeah, it's good. Cool. So next up we have the red wall. Wall of Fire. 1 colourless red red. Wall 0/5 Defender. 1 red. Wall of Fire gets +1/+0 till end of turn. Not bad. 3 mana for a 0/5 with the fire breathing ability. Means your 0/5 wall can take out and kill
Anything.
creatures of varying sizes, yeah.
Yeah, if you've got the mana to pay for it, you can take that creature out, which is something your opponent has to think about. If you're playing an in response red deck, or the end of your opponent's turn when you do direct damage to them, they don't know what you're going to be playing with. You've got that mana sat there. Could be a very, very useful card for you.
Yeah.
I like walls. And then that is that for the red cards. Thank you so much for watching, guys and girls. If you want to check out any of the other colours for the M15s, have a look, get yourself all prepared for your pre-release and your game day, and we'll see you in some more videos. Alright?
Until next time.
Bye.